At operator level, we engaged mostly women. Mostly 80% were women, 20% were men. Why? Because dexterity of hand was very important. Concentration is very, very essential.
Are there leadership lessons or personality related things that you've noticed among other business leaders which you've noticed and felt that, okay, this is something that I need to pick up?
My father was interviewed for Voltas, Tata Group. JRD interviewed him. He also interviewed my mother.
But your mother wasn't applying for the job.
No. My mother he insisted that my mother also travels with him to Bombay. But basically in Kerala, I found, but I never felt that I was the odd one out. And generally, Kerala women has a matriarchal society, right? My father used to make me prepare the debit notes. That was one exercise. The third assignment was greeting everybody, every employee of the company on their birthdays. A lot of people had fake birthdays, especially in the month of May.
Say June, you may have 50 people retire, but in May you have 1,400 people retire.
Yeah, so now you understand why.
What was it like for the past 50 years being one of the only woman-headed organizations?
What you do, people forget. What you talk, people forget. But if you have made a feel in a person's mind, it will stay. Alcatel, the French company, was selling their telephone equipments and they had the relay coming in, so we were going to compete with that. So that was tough. But we didn't take a back step. Competition is essential for growth.
What would your advice to young women be?
Never feel that you are different gender. You consider yourself as an individual. Have a vision for yourself and try to achieve it. That was my first learning on problem solving and team building. Those are little small incidents which happened in my life that helped me not to run away from a problem, but always tackle it. Maybe you may not be able to solve it. Maybe you're going to be a failure, but at least you will have the feeling that you tried your best to solve it.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Backwaters and Boardrooms, a podcast from KSIDC. For episode 3, we have someone here from the electronics manufacturing sector. What makes this company that we're going to talk about unique is that it's been around in this sector since 1968, has a turnover in excess of 350 crores, is headed by a woman who's maybe the only chairwoman and managing director heading a major manufacturing unit in Kerala. In today's podcast, we're going to find out about what it takes to set up and run a successful electronics manufacturing unit in Kerala. What has been the experience? What are the various advantages of setting up such a unit in the state? What that journey has been like? And more importantly, what should the government and society and industry's vision for the future be? To take us through this whole journey and give us some advice and suggestions for the future, we have with us Miss Pamela Anna Mathew. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your time and welcome back to KSIDC.
Thank you.
So let us begin at the very beginning. The company starts off in 1968 and it has a strange name, O/E/N. So tell us what this name is all about. How did it get started? And we'll go forward from there.
Okay. OEN stands for, it's an abbreviation of the name of the parent company with whom we had a collaboration. So O stands for oak, E for electro, and N for netics. So the name of the collaborator, the US-based collaborator, was Oak Electronetics. So we took the abbreviations OEN and put slashes in between, which is not, normally they put dots or hyphen. We thought this will be like better, something unique. So that's how we named it OEN India Limited.
And tell us the starting journey. Where does this start off? How is this company born?
Okay, my father was in a casual conversation with a Peace Corps worker who was visiting Kerala way back in 1966. So at that time, he was casually mentioning about engineering industry. He would like to set up something in the precision sector. So this conversation ended over a casual tea conversation. So thereafter, he was pursuing some projects which could be done on this basis. Way back in 1967, there was a contact which was made by this Oak Electronics based in USA, because this Peace Corps worker had a friend who was working in Oak Electronics. So at that time, he mentioned about visit to Kerala and how he had a chance meeting with my father. My father's name is Mathew. This was something which they were very curious about. They haven't had any contact in India, but they were selling their products to Indian defense industry. So they were interested to have something, a more stable, arrangement in India. So that is how they established contact with my father, and then from there it took off. Even at the initial stage, KSIDC was involved, because at that time 45% was held by the collaborator, 25% by KSIDC, and the balance 30% by directors, friends, my family.
We'll go into the constitution of this company in a bit of detail. But prior to that, tell us a little bit about your father. How did he come into this engineering field? What prompted him to sort of get into this sector?
He is a mechanical engineer from Trivandrum Engineering College.
At a CET?
CET, yes. He finished his engineering, I think, in 1946. So he worked briefly with the college at that time. And then he got placed in Voltas. Voltas in their air conditioning division. He worked for Voltas for 13 years in Cochin, based in Cochin. And then when he had to be promoted, there was no place for him in Cochin. So they moved him to Bombay. And he was there for 6 months, and he got a little suffocated being in Bombay with, Kerala. After having lived in Kerala, suddenly going to Bombay, he was not very comfortable. So he quit the job. That's how he came. At that time, there was a offer from Travancore Ryans in Perumbavoor.
Right.
Okay. So they were interested to expand their business. So the chairman contacted him through a friend of him. And then my dad said, okay. So when the conversation went on, he had said this is what his intention is, but during this brief period, he would certainly help set up the development activity in Travancore Ryans. So that is how this started.
So once the meeting with the Peace Corps worker happens,
yes.
What is a Peace Corps worker?
Actually, at that point of time, there were aids coming in from United States of America.
Okay.
To enrich poor people, get them into development activities.
Right.
So that is the context in which this Peace Corps worker came. And my dad was a Rotarian. So this was an activity which was supported by Rotary Club of Cochin.
Okay.
So that is how.
So it was to basically look at the way that aid is being administered expenditure.
That's right.
That sort of thing. And that led to a business opportunity.
Yes.
Okay, so once they got in touch with him, what was the first initial setup like? How old were you at that point of time?
I would have been 15.
Okay, so you were seeing this around you.
Yeah,
and
I was in school.
Still, you had a fairly good understanding of what was happening around you. So tell us about how the business gets set up over here.
Okay.
How is land identified? Where does the money come from? And yeah.
Initially, it was only an arrangement for selling their products in India. So that was before the company was set up. That was the activity. It was like a test activity. They were already selling to Bharat Electronics in Bangalore,
which is a PSU.
PSU in the defense sector. So initially, their products were introduced, or rather, the sales went up from X to Y. Then they decided that, it was better that, they set up a unit in Kerala or in India. That's how it was set up in Kerala.
Right. And how did your father go about identifying the place where the factory had to get set up? There must have been initial investments that were required.
That's right.
You were saying KSIDC also came on board. Do you have any memory of that process?
Yes. He had a lot of friend circle in Trivandrum, especially with the government and KSIDC. One of his strong promoter was K.T. Chandy, Mr. K.T. Chandy. All of them helped set up contacts with KSIDC. But the land was chosen at that point of time. He wanted to set it up in Cochin, definitely, because we were all born and brought up in Cochin. So he had an affinity to Cochin. So he looked around, where could this be set up? So he decided that it should be away from the main industrial belt. That is FACT and all those chemical factories, because this product uses a lot of silver content in it. Okay. So there is possibility of getting tarnished. So he wanted to be away from the main industrial belt. Number two, he wanted to have a work culture which is different from the PSUs. Okay. The third, he felt he would be able to engage workmen from that area, mostly middle class or upper middle class. Living standards there was like, moderate. Right. So it's not like, very rich place, at the same time too poor an area. It was medium size. So he felt the work ethics would be much better off in such kind of an environment, because there were a lot of churches, a lot of temples, and schools around that area.
Right. Which area are we talking about?
This is like Chottanikira Malandurthi. Chottanikira is the Chottanikira temple.
Right.
Malandurthi is one of the seats of the churches.
Right. So first you were saying that they only wanted to sell, right?
Yes.
And so was
test marketing.
The test marketing was happening, and then they decided to set up an actual facility.
That's right.
A manufacturing unit.
Yes.
Over here. So tell us, this manufacturing unit, it begins sometime in 1968?
No, we started construction actually in 1967.
Okay.
It was registered as a company in 1968. The trial production started in 1969. That was when the plant was dedicated. December 1969.
So the plant starts its operations in
December 1969.
So when we spoke about this before, I was very surprised when you told me about the composition of the original workforce.
Yes.
So can you take us through that journey? Who are the people who are getting appointed? What are the kind of qualifications they have? And I'll leave the rest to you to explain.
So at operator level,
yeah,
we engaged mostly women. Mostly 80% were women, 20% were men. Why? Because dexterity of hand was very important. Small, very tiny little parts being picked and placed. That's number one. Number two, it's a repetitive work. So concentration is very, very essential. And I don't want to be prejudiced, but women have more concentration than men, I think. So that was at that point of time, the School of Management in Cochin had a setup where we used to send the operators, the possible candidates, for dexterity test. Placing small, things from one to the other, how fast it can be. They had a mechanism by which it was tested.
This test was there for
dexterity of hand.
So this is a test that is administered by the
School of School of Management. Cochin University.
Cochin University School of Management is administering this test for company that wanted to test people would send them there.
for that particular
Was it
purpose.
exclusively for your company, or was it a
No,
general?
exclusively for us.
Okay.
Exclusively for us. We showed them the parts, and then
Okay.
how it was. It had to be picked and placed. Tuzer was used, basically originally. Now it is not.
So
Small tuesers
So
were
when your
used from.
initial recruitment was happening and the first few years that the company is in place, you already started collaborating with an academic institution there.
Yes.
And they developed a custom-made test
That's right.
for people who could then be recruited into your...
Yes. So the basic qualification was SSLC or ITIs. Okay. Either of them. ITIs means mainly men who had to do tooling work or making child parts on presses.
Right.
So that was like more of a man's work, and ladies were doing the delicate work.
So if I looked at the overall composition of the company at that point of time, among all employees,
80% were
80% were women. Now, this must have been a very out of the ordinary kind of situation in 1970 Kerala.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about how people reacted to that, the fact that this was such a unique setup? Was it considered exceptional at the time?
It is not only the workforce, but also the supervisory managerial people. Right. We had 2 engineer ladies at that time, 3 diploma holders ladies, along with few other male engineers. To supervise them also, they were, graduate engineers, lady engineers, diploma holders.
So you had women in supervisory positions as well?
Yes, as well.
This is quite fascinating.
At that point of time, there was no hesitation in that area to send ladies for work. And that way, I think Kerala was much progressed than any other place in India. In Cochin, definitely.
Got it. So when the company takes off, I presume you're in your late teens?
Yes.
Do you have a sense of whether you'll be joining, not joining? What is your exposure to the company as you're growing up?
Okay, so initially I said, we were doing the sales distribution,
the
representing test marketing. So my father used to make me prepare the debit notes. That was one exercise. As we progressed, the company was formed. All vacation, 2 of us at that time, and my younger sister also. We were taken for summer vacation with him, and then he would tell us to remove old papers from the files after going through it, whether it is good to be kept or not to be kept. So we would initially mark it, and he would say, and then at one point of time, so we kept reading those letters.
All the correspondence.
So to decipher whether it is to be kept or not kept. So we knew about the business that way.
Going through the correspondence.
Yes.
And then from there, what happens? You start off with going through correspondence, discarding stuff, archiving other things.
That's right.
And then?
And then, I finished my post-graduation.
This was in?
1973.
From which college was this?
Maharajas College.
That's in Cochin?
In Cochin, yes. Then I joined company.
And what was your qualification? Your master's
was in economics.
In economics.
Then as I progressed at work, I did my MBA in Cochin University. As part-time.
Why
part-time.
economics?
My father felt just engineering itself is not enough for a business to have a general approach to business act. Rather, I would say business acumen would be better if I know commerce, general economics,
right.
General management.
Your bachelor's was in what program? Was that economics too?
Yes.
Okay, so you were into economics throughout, despite there being a strong draw for you to take engineering. Because there's a company where you're employing engineers.
In fact, my dad insisted that I take engineering and economics.
Economics, okay. You complete your master's in economics, and at this point, are you still clear that you will be joining the company at some point?
Yeah, just after I finished, I joined within the next 3 months.
Okay. So you were very clear that this is where I'm heading. You didn't have any alternate plans?
No, I didn't have.
So when you joined the company, and how many workers were there at that point of time? What was your original assignment in the company, and how were those the first few years of being part of the company full time?
Initially, 2 years, the first 2 years was my training period. Okay. So the first major assignment I got was stock taking.
Okay.
Okay. At that point of time, about 2,000 odd parts, different, small, tiny, to little more bigger stock available. So taking the stock means, counting the numbers. So counting the numbers is Herculean task. Because be very, very small thing, it's very difficult to count. So the way we did this was initial 100 pieces would be counted. The weight of that would be taken. And then, the total weight of the stuff is taken and then calculate how much it would be. So that is how it was being done. So this, at that point time, there was no computer, nothing. Even the calculator was not available. We had this printer come calculator with the lever on. So you punch in and then, put the lever, it'll appear on this small slip of paper. Okay. So this was done. And then we had to all make hand. I had two others with me of the company. One was a senior in the company to help count and all that. So there was 100 odd pages with numbers. So I asked my dad, this seems to be it's like a donkey work, So he just smiled. At that point of time, we were importing a lot of small parts. So next assignment, my training was in customs clearance. It helped me associate because at that time everything was opened and we had to identify which part is what as per the invoice. So this helped. This stock taking really helped me.
So the stock taking really helps you recognize which product is what. And then when it comes to the customs clearance,
yes, then you know what
okay, this is mine. This is my consignment. This is what is what. Yeah, whether every product on the invoice is actually there in.
That's right.
In reality.
Yeah. So then I realized why my father smiled, did not tell me anything else. Okay. So that was my second assignment. The third assignment was basically greeting everybody, every employee of the company. We had around that time about 100 employees, or less maybe, on their birthdays. So I'll go around with a slip of paper with the names of those people who have their birthdays on different dates. So I'll go to them, I wish them. Few of them will just look at my face, and because that may not be their real birthday. There could be something different. Especially in the month of May, we had a long list of birthdays because to get admitted into school or college or school, they had to have their birthday prior to May,
right?
In June, okay? So a lot of people had fake birthdays as per the legal document. So one day I came and asked my dad, Lala, this May birthday, people are just looking at me and they're not happy about me going there and wishing and all that. So he said, never mind, you go, you smile at them, you wish them. Later, I asked him, why is it, you're making me do this? Because, sometimes even they don't like being known. Because what happens is, if you know somebody's birthday, somebody else would say, okay, you need to give us a treat. And all that, right? Okay. That helped me know the person by their name. There would have been about 3 different Marys, 5 different Eliamas.
So now you knew everybody by their name.
At that time, I knew everybody by their name because I was doing this exercise. And later on, I found that, that mattered a lot. Knowing each person by their name brings a much more closeness and some kind of a vibe which makes the other person feel belonged.
The favorite sound of every person is the sound of their own name.
Yes.
Being said by someone. So that's a very practical way of coming closer to your employees and also wishing them on their
birthdays.
This May thing still, the impact is still felt. So in large organizations, when we have retirements every month, when people complete the number of years of service. So recently I was at KSEP
Okay.
And at KSEB, we had retirements in the month of May.
Okay.
And May gets the maximum number of
Yes,
retirements.
that's exactly.
So we have, say, June, you may have 50 people retire. But in May, you have 1,400 people retire.
Yeah, so now you understand why.
For this reason. So through these different exercises, you're getting a kind of apprenticeship
That's right.
in both human management and also technical product management.
Yes.
Who are the original clients? You said BEL was the...
Bharat Electronics, Bharat Dynamics, Bharat Heavy Electricals. We were 80% of our business was being sold for defense. We had very little.
This is from the 1970s itself.
Yes.
From the very beginning. This was a
until about 1985. Major part of our business was
You were basically manufacturing for defense purposes.
Defense, yes.
And your clients were all PSUs, which were again adding value and moving the product
There were
forward.
some private people who were making oscilloscopes, which was using switches at that time, rotary switches. That was not defense per se, but oscilloscope.
Then break this down for me. What exactly are you supplying to BHEL in the 70s or BEL? What is the product? What does it do? Where does it go?
It goes, for example, in defense. A very, very common thing would be, say, like you will find soldiers patrolling on the borders. Mm-hmm. They would have communication system with them, and there is switches inside, which they can tune on to range or
some frequency.
That is one operation. And they had this big test centers where tankers, which are used, both relays. We had hermetically sealed relays also at that time, which goes into, submarine. At that time, we didn't have one which goes into aircrafts, but aircraft controls.
So these components are made here and they eventually find their place
in
all of these,
HAL, for example.
Hindustan Aeronautics.
Aeronautics, yes.
Okay. Can you tell me what exactly a relay is? What does it do?
We were at that point of time making switches and relays, but now we do make switches, but mostly major part of it is relays. Okay, relays is an automatic switch, I would say. It has a coil inside with copper winding. When it gets energized, it switches on by itself. When it gets detached, it switches off. So we call it an automatic switch. So it has different types of applications. In defense, it is used. In automobile, general industrial controls. And the latest one is the smart meter application.
So I'll come to that as and when, I think, in the course of the journey where we actually arrive at things. So now we're through the 1970s. What is the scene in the 1980s? I presume you're still providing for defense.
Yes.
Private sector has not really taken off that much as a client. And then come the 1990s. How is that transition? How is it doing business in Kerala leading up to 1990? And what changes after 1990?
Even in 80s or late 80s, we were selling products for industrial controls, mainly to electricity boards for load, which has to be switched on, switched off, and all that. So those were the industrial applications for which we were selling relays. So also, it was just towards the end of 80s or beginning of 90s. We also saw communication, telecom. So we used to be supplier of telecom products for the Indian telephone industries. That is towards the 90s and mid-90s, further up to about 2000. So telecommunication was another major part of our business. But at that point of time, the original collaborator did not have those products. So we had to have other arrangements with other partners, technical partner for that particular product. In fact, CDOD helped us locate which product could be developed and engineered. CDOT.
CDOT.
It's a government communication facilitator.
Okay. So you're producing for the defense sector, and as time goes by, you're diversifying industry, and then you moving into automobiles. With 1990, liberalization happens. There's more foreign investment coming in. I'm sure there's greater competition.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? What is that like? From a business perspective, what is the shift that's happening?
In 1991, to be very specific, we had the liberalization policy coming in. At that point of time, yes, of course, competition was there. That is how we got into, at that point of time, we had the telecommunication product, and we had terrible competition as far as that is. Because Alcatel, the French company, was very much in India selling their telephone equipments, and they had the relay coming in from one of their subsidiaries, so we were going to compete with that. So that was tough. But we didn't sort of take a back step, basically because we felt competition is essential for growth. If you have competition, you would not slacken. You will be always alert. You want to just move with the current situation. You get bogged down to comfort feelings and all that. Because why I say that is when we were making or supplying to mainly to defense, we had a profit of 35% net profit. But as we progressed, that came down because of competition. Because for defense, there was no competition as such. But for telecom, we had competition. In fact, we had an R&D setup which was approved by the Department of Science and Technology way back in 1973. I wouldn't say research and development. We were doing re-engineering.
What is re-engineering in this context?
Look at the applications which are required and what are the products which are being used in that application and who is supplying that. Take a breakup of the product features, and then is there any product which we can reach out to the market which would stand in for that kind of an application. So that was the research and development wing. Or at that point of time, it was only re-engineering.
Got it.
Okay.
So when bigger companies are moving in, they're getting into the same industry as you. Competition is obviously increasing. Can you take us into how that affected you on a day-to-day basis? Like what kind of decisions had to be made? How did you guys tackle the competition and decide that, okay, this is something that we can still manage?
So cost control. Cost control means not just alone. We can't do cost control by just negotiating with the, on the materials which okay. It is in the process, okay. Bring down the wastages to the zero level. So that is an exercise which we would do. The other is get used to having lesser profit.
Okay.
So that,
you can stay in the game.
Yeah, yes, staying in the game. And also exposure to other areas, because we are moving from defense industrial controls to also telecommunication. So at that point of time, that was essential, and we were there present for telecommunication. Despite the fact that Alcatel used relays were a big competitor for us. We managed to step in, and we did make a remarkable number of quantities. But then subsequently, government decided not to use not the Indian technology. They were just using the imported technology. So then we lost out on that market. But we still have telecommunication in the towers which are used, mobile towers.
Your products are going into mobile towers?
Yes, mobile towers, because there is an UPS with the mobile towers to send signals out and signals in. That continues to be not the very same product, but a different product that was used in the exchanges. That was totally different.
What's interesting about having more competition is not just that you get better at what you do, but you also have to diversify.
That's right.
You have to look beyond what you're doing. And in the end, it ends up better for everybody.
That's right.
Everybody involved.
Then in 2000, it was the automotive.
So we are out of the 90s, we're into the 2000s, and now the automobile industry is taking off in India.
Yeah.
And can you tell me how the production for the automobile sector begins. How does that start off? Because there is a time where you're not making for automobiles, and then automobiles are starting off.
Yes.
So how does that relationship get formed?
Sometimes I feel luck also helps. Okay. Fortunately, around the same time, we were doing a contract manufacturing for a German firm. And that was going in for automobile application. It's an open type relay. So this contract was there for 5 years. It was just making and sending it back to them, to Germany. In fact, not to Germany, to Switzerland, their module manufacturer. And then module manufacturer puts a relay in the module and then sends it to the German manufacturer.
Which years
This
is
was
this period?
End of 1990s,
Okay.
early 2000. Okay. So after 5 years, they hadn't terminated the contract. They continued for another 1.5 years. And they said they were going out of the business, and if required, we can keep the drawings, the product, the toolings. I mean, all toolings were supplied by them. Okay. All of that we could keep.
What are toolings?
In a relay, basically on an average, there will be 15 to 16 parts. Inside this small thing, inside this, or inside that. So this would be like a little bigger, but this will be smaller. A lot of components.
Okay, there are
inside. There are
how many
plastic
components
parts,
inside?
minimum 15 to 16
Okay.
components inside each one of them. Okay. So it has plastic parts. Plastic parts inside will be basically the bobbin on which the coil is wound.
Okay.
There's a coil which goes in. And of course the base, the bottom portion, and also the cover. Those are the basically 3 plastic parts. But the others are all metal. The copper, beryllium, silver contacts, phosphor bronze, with different types.
Sure.
Okay. Soft magnetic iron, CRS, different
And
kinds
the tooling is what?
Tooling is where all these small parts
Yes.
are metal parts are punched on a press. The plastic parts are molded on a molding machine. That mold with the cavities are made in-house. We set up this tool room in 1974. That was again a challenge at that time, because at that time we had this, Government of India had this phased manufacturing program approvals. Those times we had to submit industrial license application, and it had to be supported by phased manufacturing program. How you're trying to bring down the import content. That was a exercise which we were. Okay, there was a gentleman in, at that point of time, DGT, Director General of Trade, Directorate or something like that, okay? There was a gentleman by name Mr. Bannett. He was a very tough guy. He wouldn't agree on anything. He said, unless you set up tool room to make parts, I will not allow, I mean, the maximum time I will allow is 4-year period. That's how we set up that tool room facility. But that was fortunate. Very fortunate. So we make our own molds. We make our own tools for the stamping parts. So all that put together forms these
products.
Yeah.
So you were saying that when your contract with the Swiss German entity ended,
that we got that product that was going on to automotive. So we introduced that for Indian market.
So you
with
reached
some
out.
Some changes we had to make.
Sure.
Some changes.
So you started reaching out to Indian automotive industry people. Maruti specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. So you reach out to Maruti saying that, hey, we have this technology available, and Maruti at that time is obviously they're based in Gurgaon. In Delhi, in the Delhi area, Haryana, I presume. And then that relationship starts.
Yes.
And you then make customized.
Because even say like there is standard relays. If you take a particular product in, let's say this one, we might have, we can offer 16 variations of that. The basic parts will be the same. The structure, the size will be the same. But the current, the ohms inside, the type of contacts which we use, the type of winding wire we use, the number of turns of the winding wire we use, all will be different depending on the customer specifications which we get. So if we are supplying this to Maruti, we may not be supplying a similar one, but in the internal configuration will be different for, let's say, Mahindra or Tata Motors or Hyundai.
Now, this is obviously a very evolving sector.
Yes.
And there are so many parts involved. There's requirements keep changing from time to time.
That's right.
As the automobile sector changes, you're also going to have to bring in changes. So what do you do in order to keep up with the times? In-house, is there?
Yes.
What kind of
So like
setup is in there?
that's why I said initially we had the open type. It doesn't have an enclosure. We still make that. All these are in-house developed. Not that it's fully our own R&D, but the customer interactions, they will give us a sample. Why not you do this? So different type of applications, like this one is on the cooler radiator fan and blower fans. This one is a headlamp. This is the ignition, battery charger, fuel pump, air conditioner, front design, and all that. So different type of
different parts of
application.
of the automobile.
So on a basic a car, there will be about 20 to 25 different types of.
Okay. Now, you've been in business for how long?
Since 1973, so I hit 53 years now.
So 53 years of running a successful manufacturing unit in Kerala. So for any business to succeed, there are a lot of contributing factors that would have to come in from the place where it is. A setup in the people's own ingenuity, whatever environment is given by society. So tell us about what aspects of the state the people of Kerala contribute. How do they contribute towards the success of your 50 plus year enterprise?
Number one, Kerala workforce, they are intelligent. 90% of that is good. 10% is not that good because whatever you say will not be accepted as it is. Okay.
Sure.
But generally, they understand fast. They can read. Most of them, even those days, SSLC passed girls, ladies or men, male we were taking, they knew at least to read English. Because at that time, we were following the drawings for placement of switch clips. So one has to be familiar with the numbers and the English, writing on that. Otherwise, you can't follow that. Mm-hmm. So first of all, that was there. English, they could understand English, they could read English and adapt to that. Okay. And intelligence, you need some kind of intelligence also to point out or find out when there is some kind of a differential in the parts. Okay, why certain, for example, at each stage there is a testing which is there. So when it is not performing the way it ought to, the parameters are not to the exact measurements, then they would decipher and then they can tweak the part in such a way that it will get to that, what we call calibration. Because at that time it was mostly manual. Now it has become more automatic, but those times it was more manual. So you need some kind of an aptitude, patience, knowledge, intelligence to decipher that. Although could be a repetitive job, you need some kind of a acumen to find out, notice what is going wrong or what is not right, what is good or bad. And also, especially automotive, currently, after 2000, automotive means, you have to establish a system by which, you have, any part which is not found good, you have to put it in a red bin box. All those, procedures have to be followed for automotive. They're very strict on that. They come for audit. Maruti comes for audit, Mahindra comes for audit, Tata Motors comes for audit. So they make sure that those processes are intact.
So that is one aspect. That's the human capital aspect.
Yes, human capital. The other is generally Kerala people are more organized because I know the difference. That is why I'm saying.
Another aspect that just comes through during this, when you talk about the origin story itself,
Yes.
is the progressive nature of society as well, which makes so many women available.
That's right. Yeah.
To work as early as 1970.
70. Yes.
That itself is quite rare. But how do you think that happened, though? Can you talk a little bit about that? Was it something to do with your dad being very keen about?
No, it's the dexterity of hand and repetitive work, which was important.
But then that would be a very common thing across multiple industries, right? If it's only the dexterity aspect.
Okay, so that was their practice by the collaborators. They also had, lady operators
in the United States.
US.
Okay, so it was inspired from there,
That's
and then
right. That's right.
that also came.
It's not something which my dad discovered, but it came from there.
Another aspect that if you could talk about is what's the research in electronic sector in Kerala? Where would you place it?
We have test equipments, various testing facilities we have in-house. But for our product testing, destructive test or non-destructive test, we used to go to Bangalore, ERTL. We used to come to Trivandrum also. So testing is something which, on a product, it depends on the application. That's one thing. The other is to test you prescribe certain number of operations which the product would withstand. Let's say 2 lakh or 3 lakh or 10 million or whatever it is. So we do the destructive test of our products, checking whether this would withstand what we are offering. All those tests, in Kerala, there is no facility. There was not an adequate facility. So even in Bangalore, as we progressed, we found it not updated. So we had to make our own investment for testing products.
Do you think it makes sense for governments to invest more heavily in testing?
One has to be careful because the durability or the effectiveness of a particular testing equipment depends on the use also. I don't think government per se should do that. I'm not saying that. But government can encourage, for example, public sector, Keltron, for example. They have a testing facility which can be used by other electronic industry. Or, for example, we test for some other industries also, some other companies.
Some other companies use your facilities for testing.
For example, we have bump test, vibration tester. So other people come and use our facility for that. Of course, we charge for that.
Sure. Can you talk a little bit about Keltron? Because Keltron was this huge thing that started in
1970-71.
Yeah, in the 1970s. Is said to have made India's first color television.
Yes.
I've heard of Keltron before I even got posted in Kerala.
Mr. KPP Nambiar was my dad's friend.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit about how Keltron started, the kind of vision behind it? Or whatever you know about the organization.
Keltron actually under KPP Nambiar did a good job. That's what I think. It was properly structured and something which Kerala should be proud of as a PSU. But subsequently, I think it didn't have the same kind of presence in the products possibly. I do not know. It could not be management alone, but maybe the products.
The original vision was very...
very, very good. The KP Nambiar has visited our company many times before he set this facility, Keltron.
So one aspect...
Because Nambiar was also working for a Tata company, and that's how my father knew him.
You recently received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the government of Kerala. And when you look at the larger landscape of industry in Kerala, I doubt there is any other similar organization that's headed by a woman. Can you shed some light on that aspect? What was it like for the past 50 years, being one of the only woman-headed organizations? Has that landscape changed over a period of time, the way you are perceived? I'm sure there's been so much you can talk about. So let's start somewhere.
Okay, so I was the Cochin Chamber president in 1991. That was when the liberalization policy came in. Okay. So we had a lot of interaction, industry, government, and all that. At that point of time, I was always an odd one out, I must admit. Could have been the only lady in a group, mostly. I used to go to Delhi, of course, there were little more of, a few more ladies in the group, that is SOCM and all that. But basically in Kerala, I found, but I never felt that I was the odd one out. I pretended that I was a person. It was not my gender that mattered to me. Possibly that is how others also perceived me, I think, accepted me.
You weren't made to feel conscious about it as...
No, not at all. I was not.
That's a great thing.
Yeah. So I found acceptance. I didn't shy away on anything. I was there, present, despite the fact that, I was the only one. I never shied away.
But you never felt singled out, left out, ignored?
No, I've never felt it. Maybe because of the upbringing also, because the freedom we had growing up. And generally, Kerala women has a matriarchal society, right?
So the benefits of that do...
Yeah, definitely. My paternal grandmother was like a queen in that place. She used to... the person who is conducting everything.
One more aspect that I wanted to understand is, obviously being a woman, you also have certain responsibilities at home. That's supposed to be that is supposed to be the primary role.
Yes.
And work is supposed to take second. At least that's how it... Now I'm sure that's changing. But I'm sure that wasn't the case in, say, the 70s and the 80s. So did that pressure ever come on you that, okay, I'm running the company, I'm not able to give enough attention at home? Was that a societal expectation?
When I was married, my parents were there. When I had the kid, I have only one child. A kid, my parents were there. And my husband was very supportive. My in-laws also were supportive. They didn't sort of complain about me going for work. I think my father-in-law was one person who always appreciated me. He used to tell everyone about what I did and all that. I sometimes felt a little ashamed that he was talking too much about me. Mm-hmm. So all those fit into my life. So I had practically no problem have that work-life balancing. Not much. Of course, there would have been a little bit of pressure sometimes when I travel out of town and all that. Okay, so that was managed. Was not a big issue for me.
It's really heartening to know that you don't have story of struggle. 50 years in the business, heading the business for such a long time, one would have expected a lot of pushback from various aspects of parts of society, family, even the professional workspace. But you seem to have had a very good run in that sense. What do you think you got lucky?
Possibly lucky that, my parents gave me the opportunity, freedom, and the learnings. Okay, my father was a very organized person. You can predict him doing, available at X point of time, and he is there, X minus, he is there ahead of time. Okay, so time management I'm still am. Okay, I get a little annoyed when people are not time disciplined. But youngsters these days do not value that. Very sad. But that is one aspect. So I was lucky that the background in which I was brought up was... So I didn't have that kind of a struggle per se for trying to be effective in my working environment. And basically, one aspect which we were always taught was to solve problems. There's a story which I don't want to take a lot of your time when I was young and all that. But
no, feel free to share it with us.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear it.
So here is when I wanted to learn driving, when I was just passing out of school. So I said, I must learn driving. So Dad said, if you want to learn driving, the first thing you must do is wash the car, change the tires, check the water level, check the oil level. All those times it was the ambassador car, right? It's not the present day cars where no water checking or oil checking is required. Okay, and to change tires now, I don't think any of the people do that. They just call somebody and then they change it. But I have done it myself. Okay, so this is a learning. So it happened that we went on a holiday during summertime to our native place, and then I was supposed to. That particular morning, Dad said, you have to wash the car. We are going to change from one place to the other. I was washing the car, cleaned the car inside. And then, you had outside first and then inside. And then, a few things were to be done, topped up outside. Accidentally, I put the key inside and locked the car. So here comes a situation where car cannot be opened. Okay. Well, my dad is sitting there on the easy chair in the veranda and he's looking. So a lot of my cousins around me, we are trying to figure out whether we can hit open. There's a small, window in the front seats, okay? Just to see whether we can just,
there's a metal separator.
Yeah, okay. We kicked that out. We were unsuccessful. So I go to my father and said, this is what happened. We were in our native place. There was no workshops anywhere close by, okay? I thought he was going to scold me for being careless. So he said, you created the problem. Solve it yourself. So then one of my cousins go get a knife and then we try to poke through the rubber beading. It doesn't give way. Then another cousin of mine goes around, he found a small metal wire somewhere in the yard. So he brings this and we loop that into the inside part through the, rubber beading.
Okay.
And we open that side window. Here goes the unlock the door. So my father, we were happy and I said, we opened. So my dad said, what is your learning? Then I said, not to be careless. Be mindful of things when you do certain things. Be careful about it. I said, no. Dad said, no. I couldn't answer. Frankly, I could not answer. So he said, what you learned was to solve a problem and to build a team to solve a problem. That was my first learning on problem solving and team building.
How old were you?
I would have been 16. Yeah. So that is something which I think, was very important in my initial, thinking to not to run away from a problem, but always tackle it. Maybe you may not be able to solve it. Maybe you're going to be a failure, but at least you will have that feeling that you tried your best to solve it. But think that, you can still, don't forget it, you can still solve it at some point of time. Maybe you cannot do it to yourself, but maybe you can, along with somebody else with whom you can discuss and so, and that is team building.
With a little help from your friends.
Yes. Those are little small incidents which happened in my life when I was a teenager or a youngster that helped me, build my way of doing things and handling things.
It's very interesting that there are a lot of tasks that your dad seems to give you.
Yes.
Whose goal is to teach you something else beyond the immediate task. Like the birthdays are supposed to get to know the people better. The stock taking is supposed to help in customs consignments. And I think cleaning and learning more about the car is supposed to assist with
problem solving and team building.
And team building. Very interesting. So all these years you are serving as the boss of your company and you're managing so many men as well who must have been in senior positions throughout that period. Was that ever a challenge? Because did people have a problem taking orders from you 20, 30 years from now? How was that equation?
I had a small issue with one person. Okay. He was a little tough, but I cracked that.
You solved that problem?
Yeah, I cracked that.
But otherwise you didn't have these issues.
No.
Were you conscious about this though?
No, I actually didn't, because most of the time, so many years they have worked, have seen me around. And maybe they were liked my father's leadership. And, they really liked the organization and they didn't want to. And most of those managers, employees who were there, they left the company only when they retired. They didn't leave otherwise.
You got some really good people.
Yes.
And throughout your journey.
That's right.
I think one hopes that happens to everybody. What would your advice to young women be who are considering or thinking of starting their own ventures or going down a similar path?
I would say never feel that you are different gender. If one is capable of doing certain things, then you consider yourself as an individual. Not like I'm a woman, therefore do I have hurdles, or how do I manage, male. You consider yourself, your capability, look at your capability. Not that you have to bulldoze, but you consider yourself as an individual who can make a mark, have a vision for yourself, and try to achieve it through other people, along with other people. And I'm pretty sure running away will never help. Never, never help. I don't know whether you've read this poem by this Lebanese poet about fears. He says that the river is flowing from the mountain along the roads, winding down, and then it coming down to join the ocean. It is afraid. It is afraid that it is going to join the ocean and lose its identity. But there can't be any going back. Going back in the sense that you can't go back. The river can't flow backwards. You literally have to flow down, further down, and join the ocean. So even if you fear, you will still join. So have a different perspective that you are not being identified, but you are part of a bigger place, an ocean. So one has to be positive about your abilities. You can do that. If you cannot do, there could be a lot of things which one doesn't possess, but you can hire a person to help you do that. But fears will not help you fly. Fears will only help you fall down.
You're anyway going to join the ocean, so might as well make the best of that opportunity.
Yes.
And
be positive about so
make
in
the best
ocean,
of the journey.
Yeah, in the ocean you are still part of the ocean, a bigger scenario. So why not be proud of that you came from the mountain and then joined the ocean?
You've also been very active in ELSINA, which is the Association of Electronics Manufacturers, Component Manufacturers. What is the role of these sector associations in creating ecosystems and influencing government policy? Talk about your organization, your association, and also give us some general pointers on how can associations, society, government come together to play a more proactive role in pushing forward economic growth.
Electronic Component Manufacturers Association represent various component manufacturers across the country, and they interact with, on behalf of the members, to the government through agencies like Department of Electronics. Now it is titled METI. Okay, make a representation to department, government on duty structure, because there used to be a time when we had inverted duty structure, because if you import like a component, it's you're better, less duty rather than you buying a material, making the part and then selling it. So these were all corrected subsequently, and the most recent one is the policy which the government of India has announced for electronic component manufacturers. I think the outlay they're talking about 20,000 to 30,000 crores, which the government would give as an incentive. Because
production linked incentive, the PLIC.
Yeah. not exactly the PLI scheme for big manufacturers, because you have to have 1,000 or crores and etc. But this is like even
For
with
MSMEs and
MSMEs basically, because an electronic component manufacturers is mainly in the SME sector, mainly, but there are big players also. Okay, so Elcina is continuously, this has been going on for a long time. And after the PLI scheme was announced, Elcina took the leadership to talk to MeitY, get this done. Okay. So these are facilitating certain things where the manufacturers find it difficult on different grounds, either, competition, for example. Even now there are components which are available at throwaway prices with which you compete. But that has come down over the years. These organizations help us to, as manufacturer, they just support such kind of activities which the government, the units would really need to grow. And this opportunity which is the government has, because what has happened is government is expecting 35 to 40% value addition in the process of manufacturing. But presently it is only 15% or less than 15%. And that is why the industry is not progressing as it ought to be. Under the PLI scheme is the smartphone. It's only the assembly. It doesn't manufacture those components.
Yeah, at this stage it is assembly, but hopefully we'll get there soon.
Yeah. So we get that. So there has to be a backup for that. So what we call is basically, this is a terminology which the computer manufacturer Acer, Taiwan, the founder of Taiwan, I think his name is
Stan Shi.
Yeah. He formulated. It's a smile curve. In the smile curve, manufacturing is at the bottom of that U. Okay? So manufacturing requires a concept by R&D, a concept formally. And then, I wouldn't want to say branding, but in broader terms, branding, because to whom are you going to sell this product, manufacture this product for? Who is the user? And what does the users need? To what are the features which the manufacturer has to put into that product, okay, to manufacture? Okay, so manufacturing. Then comes the design. Design is determining closer to the manufacturing what could be achieved. So manufacturing, although at bottom stage, if it has to be a product. Let's say, okay, OEM wants to desire or aspires to be an Apple company. Because Apple is a product, well known. Not that we will go anywhere close to that, but aspiration, okay? It's a product. But product is the final. But there is a lot more things you do with that, right? So manufacturing is one thing. Concept, the branding and the design and the manufacturing, and then comes the market push, distribute. How do you distribute that? How do you go to the market? How are you placing your product in a competitive, how are you along with the competition? Do you have to cut down your cost further to be there to grow your business? Okay, so those are important, and that is what we value. Basically we try to do. We need to be a product company, a product identified with OEM. Okay, this is a company which provides solutions to the customer. Customer has an issue or customer wants a usage, and we are providing a solution to the customer. So only a product company can do that. That's why I said our products offers different variations of just one product.
It is customized for the industry. Another area which is considered absolutely necessary is academia and business linkages. In the West, I understand that this happens at a very large, very productive scale, whereas back home, we haven't even come close to realizing the potential of that collaboration. Why do you think that has been the case? And two, what can we do to change that? How do we bring the university system, the education system, how do we make them align with the needs of industry, either at a research level or employability level? That seems to be an area which we can do much more.
So let me put this way. In the 90s, late 90s, when we wanted to do a little more automation, we had requested IIT Madras through a professor. The team came and gave us a proposal and all that. It was a little expensive, but we felt, and then we engaged a consultant outside India to just examine that, but it was not cost effective. Okay, maybe those students who were doing it was, hadn't much of an exposure to that particular situation. So then we didn't try that. Very lately, about I think 3 or 4 years back, an engineering college, which is situated very close to us, a renowned college, we had engaged with them for our technical people will go to speak to them and give them assignments as to. But then we found that 2 things. We can't give certain things because it gets exposed. It could be either, some kind of a protection which we require, or it could be a customer specific thing. Because we sell to Maruti, we sell to Tata Motors, we sell to Mahindra, the same, but the configuration inside is different. So we can't be very open as far as that is concerned. And outside India, people respect other people's privacy, which I'm afraid doesn't happen here.
So that's something that needs active changing.
Yeah, because even between industry, because you help another, similar industry, we, hand in hand, go hand in hand. Even if it is competition, there are certain areas where you can share facilities and all that. But people don't do it to a larger extent because a lot of employment poaching happens. Because if I were to take somebody from your company, maybe you approach me, say, I would like to come and join, I would definitely check with the employer. In India or in Kerala, it doesn't happen.
But isn't that part of competition?
It is part
Having
of
employees
competition.
move companies.
Yeah, move companies, yes. But at least that information reference. Okay, in a person is coming, then we will be guarded, right? So here we are not guarded.
How many countries do you ship products to?
About 8.
8 countries.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this for more than
not significantly.
decade.
Yeah, more than a decade. From late 90s.
From late 90s till now.
Yeah, but those were all contract manufacturing.
Right.
But subsequently, we have also done it, but not it only not more than 15% of our turnover was.
So when you're dealing with these foreign companies, are there lessons that you learn from the way they function, the way they go about their work? Are there things that you've noted as things to incorporate in our way of working?
They help tune up your product for a better performance, and share some details about the structure of the raw materials to be used. That helps. Say it should withstand so much operations. So whether is it beryllium copper material or is phosphor bronze material or another metal composition which performs more. Those are things which you learn from that kind of associations.
And in your association with other business persons all over the country, you must have interacted with so many during the course of your long stint at the head of the company. Are there leadership lessons or personality related things that you've noticed among other business leaders which you've noticed and felt that, okay, this is something that I need to pick up, or that's a very nice way of doing things, or a different thought process at work? So during these multiple interactions, are there any things that have really stayed with you?
Okay, this is not something which stayed with me. I learned. this is what my father has told me, okay, and my parents have told me. Because when my father was interviewed for Voltas, Tata Group, JRD interviewed him. He also interviewed my mother, because my father was into a managerial position, not as a starter, but as he was interviewed for higher position as a manager. He was interviewed by JRD Tata, and my mother also was interviewed.
But your mother wasn't applying for the job.
No. My mother was. He insisted that my mother also, travels with him to Bombay.
So both.
After he was interviewed, my mother was not interviewed.
Yeah, but that was a conversation.
Conversation, so.
Was this 1 second? Just to clarify, was this
in
1960s?
60s. Yeah.
So did he insist that your mother travel together, or was it a last minute thing that can
No.
be also?
Okay, travel with him.
Okay,
with
you
him
have to come.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those days they went by train, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. And she was interviewed. Interviewed means interacted.
Yeah, interacted.
Okay?
That was a conversation.
And then what was the reason? So Dad obviously didn't ask JRD, somebody else, So he wanted to make sure that, at home, the ambience will be smooth for that manager. And, Tata is being promoted by this individual. And he would always, have his better half to support that. That was his reason. Wow. Okay, so I always felt, at any point of time in India that happens, I really do not know.
Yeah. That seems like a very rare.
Yes, JRD did that. I wish, once when I was at CIA function and I received a award from Ratan Tata, didn't get a chance to talk to him. If I had, I would have asked him.
Right. With the current rapid movements in technology, especially in the context of, say, climate change, EVs are coming up, energy production is just changing its nature. Where do you see the future of your own company? Like, where do you think, say, 10, 15 years from now, how different do you think it would be from what it does today?
So that one is an energy segment.
You can,
that is a relay which we sell, what we call the latching relay, which we sell to for smart meter.
Okay.
Now we have 3 customers right now. That might grow, but then we would have to be selective. But there is X number of smart meters that can be in India. Okay?
Yeah, the number runs into crores.
Crores, yes.
Crores, yeah.
So we started it for the last 2 years. It has grown last year particularly, and as we move, we are seeing and massive investments are required for this. Okay, it's not like the other relays it has to be, because welding is a major factor here. Spot welding.
What makes this very different? One is the welding aspect.
Welding.
What else makes it different from relays and switches that you've made?
This is also a relay.
No. How is this more expensive compared to the other?
That's because of the welding.
Okay.
Welding strength it has to have.
Okay.
And once it is in the meter, it is forever, right?
Yes.
So the performance is also, not
to be
like
equally.
Frankly, I do not know how many operations, but it is supposed to withstand. Because when we talk to the customer, they say that, we have to guarantee for life. I said, no, we can't guarantee for life. We can guarantee for the number of, operations this is expected to. Okay, because the design is given by them. And we engineer for that. Okay, so if their engineering design is not good, or it can't be our fault, right? But we can guarantee that once we design certain things, this is the expectation that should be met. Okay, so we see that it's a growing market right now, but we see not more than 15 years. OEM may not be the only player. There will be other players, like, we can't meet the whole of India's requirement. So So after that, it'll be. So we have to find something else to. At that point of time, we will have something else. Right now, we do some kind of component, custom built components for HAL actuators, freewheel actuators for their aircrafts.
In fact, with smart meters, the current scheme, which is there which is the Government of India promoted scheme, in which the period of time for one smart meter is seen as somewhere between 10 to 12 years.
12 years, yes.
For functionality, and Kerala is also moving down that path.
Yeah, but not. Kerala has accepted, but
So Kerala is starting off with the installation of smart meters in all government offices. Okay. That is currently underway.
Okay.
And after that, we'll be moving to domestic consumers.
Okay.
Consumers as well. So I want to just pivot from here to the question of design. You said that what you make is going to have to do with the design that is given to you.
Yes. Design means for which the smart meter, they configure certain.
Yeah, they're configuring that and then giving it to you. So when we talk about electronics manufacturing, there's fab, there's design, there's assembly and testing. These are different sort of components of that process. So which are the areas do you think Kerala should really try to maximize its attention on? Should it be, do you think all three, or
fab,
where do you see it?
Play it down depending on the availability and the eco-friendliness of the operation. Okay, Kerala may not have the extensive property which is available, or
in a place which is so densely populated as Kerala.
So we are experiencing that.
Right.
That's why I'm saying. Okay, so Kerala, you should encourage, if somebody is, and we have the property to somebody to buy, and we should do that. Not that we should.
But if we were to prioritize these things, you would place it.
I would say designing, testing. And then fab, if it's possible, yes, that would be the process.
But given our current, say,
limitation
set of
for
strengths as well.
Design, because we have the engineering talents. So many engineering colleges, students passing out, and then I always, not that I don't like ITs. A lot of engineering talents going into IT. It's a wasteful. Do IT require engineering? Maybe computer engineering, but now in the colleges, there are hardly any mechanical engineers or electrical engineers whom we need. Everybody is want to go for computer science. Okay, AI, yes, because AI at one point of time will take over from the automation part of it and all that. But that is a long way off, right?
So you would say design, assembly and testing, these are areas where Kerala could really focus on and succeed in the future.
That's right. Yeah. And government should, once unit is set up, our natural tendency is to, when you set up, for example, when we set up that unit in our place, we call it Electrogiri, in 10 kilometers radius, there was hardly any house. Now, just behind us, around us, there are things. Not that, every progress has to be there. But then, if that is very close, people live so close, it leads to a lot of other issues, like sound.
Sure. So it's better for the government.
So government should not allow, they should earmark, say that, these are beyond, 5 kilometers from the perimeter of, no other thing should be allowed, or something like that.
Or find land that is sufficiently not so populated. And then have industry set up over there. Instead of opening up in the middle of...
exactly.
Which I think is the future anyway, because I doubt anyone can afford land in a very highly densely populated area.
And another thing is that, multi-story. I'm not talking about any obstruction to the air traffic. But where it is not, they should allow multi-story. Way back in 2006, one part of our, portion of the facility, we pulled it out and then wanted to have multi-storied. We put foundation for 8 floors, but only 4 floors is allowed. It is not heavy industry. Heavy industry, I can understand. It can fall off and things like that. But this is a light industry. So government
So more
should have
nuance is needed in terms
some
of how we
kind of,
classify and we provide
classifying and
permits.
that's right.
That kind of thing. Great. So this was a business that you had taken over from your father. What happens in the future? Are your children engaged with
My daughter
the
is
business?
My daughter is a mechanical engineer.
Okay. You didn't make her learn economics.
No, I didn't. My husband was also a mechanical engineer, like my father. So she turned into, not that I forced
Was she the
her.
only girl in her class?
No, there was another girl.
Okay, there were 2. Right. And did she take up mechanical with this in mind, with the business in mind?
Not exactly, but she learned. And then she was working for GSK a long time back. And then now she came back. I hope she would stay back. She still says that, GSK environment was better and all that. But
So you have so many companies in Kerala, right, who've done so well in these particular sectors.
Yeah.
Do you think that they have a larger role to play in terms of positioning Kerala as a hub for high-tech investments? Because when you look at the larger ecosystem in India, when you think electronic manufacturing, EMC, like you said, this is not the first place that would that would come to mind.
Okay.
So I was just thinking that in terms of bringing that to the attention of investors and people seeking to expand in that sector, do you think companies can play a more proactive role? Like this is one way we could.
Yeah.
We
So
could do
the
it.
other way is a lot of investments possibly is not coming to Kerala, basically because of the wrong impressions people have. So whenever they have had a different experience, that should be highlighted, and how they have grown must be
Do you think that gets
propagated.
highlighted? This is a small complaint that I have. I feel that businesses here are quite hesitant to talk about their own success compared to, say, businesses elsewhere.
They don't want to blow their own
They
horns.
don't like to. It's not. It is not a very common practice. It's kind of frowned upon. Is it frowned upon to talk a lot about your own business success, that kind of thing?
It is to some extent. You feel a little awkward sometimes when you say, like, sometimes when you are too much into it, looks like you're projecting yourself too much. In Malayalam, we say, I don't know whether you would follow, Kannu Vekkunnu. You have put this black marks so that you don't get
you avoid the evil eye.
Evil eye. So if you talk about it too much, then there is other troubles coming in.
Have you found that to be true though? Because I think you talk about your
whenever I get a chance, I talk. But I say both.
Right.
Where Kerala also has
has
but
to make
we have
improvements.
We have needs improvement, and we have improved. We have walked a long way,
and we'll continue to
hope so.
Do so. So final question. So 50 years in, when you look back, what are some of the, you can give us a longish answer to this, like what are some of the pivotal moments that you feel when you look back in terms of the journey of your business, in terms of your own personal journey as well? Okay, these were important points which what are some of the correct decisions you think, or other crucial decisions you think you made? And finally, do you look back and reflect on any major failures or lost opportunities over this large span? So I'll just break that down since it's a long question. 1, pivotal points in the journey of the business. 2, very important decisions that were made at the right time. And 3, missed opportunities or things you would do differently.
All the 3 put together, I'd first say something.
Sure.
Say, like, our approach, OEM's approach to things is what you do, people forget. What you talk about yourself or anybody else, people forget. But if you have made a mark a feel in a person's mind, it will stay. And if at all OEN looks at any success over the years, it is that the feel which we have given to in the minds of all stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, with partners with whom we have worked with, our employees, our shareholders, and government agencies. It is just the feel which you give, the ethical points or ethical standards you uphold, the values you uphold, that you shall not do certain things. You shall not be influenced by certain actions of the society. You like to not be a party to it. You might say, like, let's say a simple thing, a Christian organization. I'm a Christian. So not that, I would support all the time a Christian organization who comes around, for CSR. No, I would not. Just because it is the reason behind it. If there is a reason for us to spend money on social activities, irrespective of whether it is a reason and not the specific, community or who asked. In that context, I would not want to name. My father had a long time back. He was beckoned to the guest house by a politician. You can guess for what it is. He didn't go.
He didn't go.
He said he can't come. That was taken as an abuse, or
as an
not
insult.
taken an insult. But he said, if you would like to drop into my office, you're most welcome. Because it is a reason for, what is the reason? Okay, wants the support of the company for something? Please approach me. I don't have to come to you. Okay, if the President of India calls me, or the Prime Minister of India calls me, or the Chief Minister of Kerala calls me, that's a different call. Or a minister calls me, that's a different call. But for political reasons, no. So that is the value I'm talking about. You give value for genuine causes, which a company, as an organization, one should support. Not just because, you want to be part of. For example, we have 3 unions in the organization. One is an independent organ, one is an INTUC, one is this CITU. Can we have any preference for any one of them? We can consider them all equals. So that is the thought process. Those are the ethical values which we have with the organization. And if you uphold us, you can keep your head strong. You will have troubles in between, not that you will not have troubles. But then, and anything missed out, maybe because of that, you might miss out on something. But that doesn't mind. It should not affect you. That's what I feel as a person, as a representative of a company.
That has underpinned your success.
Yeah.
And
so we've stayed neutral to certain causes. And genuine causes, of course, we support. That way, I would say that my experience with KSIDC was always professional. Always professional. I told you that I was familiar with the boardroom downstairs. There was a time when I used to come here very often and quite early, even before the office starts, because when I drive from there, sometimes I come early. So I just pop into that boardroom and sit there, because I was a familiar face during one time.
do you think of any pivotal decisions that were made at the right time, or right calls that were made that translated into
Smart meter relays is something, we had a latch relay program, but then, we hadn't, firmed up on a particular application, or, where we could. So similarly for EV, so we are adapting our product for EV, application as well.
Got
Those
it.
are the right decisions which we have taken.
Made at the right time.
Yeah, right
and
time.
Missed opportunities. Any specific ones that I wish we had
Yes,
taken this
because
call?
of the certain stands which we have taken, we would have missed out. Not that we haven't missed out. We would have missed out. But we would not regret it because we can't, sort of underplay certain values which we hold and would like to hold.
Great. So I think that brings me to the end of my questionnaire. Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time and your patience with all our questions, and all the best
Thank you.
for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.